Repensando a Loucura with me, Josh. Hello everybody, I'm Josh, originally from South Africa, now living in California. I've been diagnosed bipolar type 1 and I work as a peer support specialist with America's largest grassroots mental health organization, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI. So I'm a South African living in America and talking with you in Brazil. Countries are joining together, minds are joining together, and our vision of rethinking madness together is gaining a lot of momentum. I want to share with you the momentum that's happening in the peer movement here in America. And I also want to share how even the mainstream system and organizations like NAMI are rethinking madness and are embracing the spiritual side of these experiences that so many of us know the power of. First, I'd love to share a little about how I ended up on your screen. After getting my bachelor's degree in psychology, I was working on my master's in theology, the science of God, in California, when I had my bipolar awakening. I believed that the whole outside world was happening inside my mind, like a lucid dream. I also believed that I was the whole outside world, and every one of you. We were all one consciousness, experiencing itself through lots of different angles. But I didn't know how to navigate this. I didn't have any maps. And so I ended up making a lot of mistakes and being taken to psychiatric hospitals against my will 6 times, being arrested twice, and causing a big mess because I was never taught how to navigate it. Until I discovered the work of Sean Blackwell and how I wasn't the only one to have these experiences. This led me to want to work in the mental health field. So I got a job with NAMI. So it's a real honor to come alongside the work that's happening there with you and Sean and Licia. Because what came out of my own process of rethinking madness is a world that's more beautiful and enchanted and exciting than it ever was before. It's called post-traumatic growth, and it happens a lot. I saw it happen time and time again in my work with NAMI as a peer support specialist. My program I worked for served people who didn't like the conventional system and were treatment resistant. We met them in psychiatric hospitals, jails, on the streets, and in their homes to help them find meaning and purpose. Because the program managers knew that I had education and experience in spirituality, almost everyone on my caseload had a spiritual aspect to their experience. This allowed me to get to know hundreds of people's experiences very deeply as we learned from each other about what the mind is, as we learned together what reality is. And reality itself bent and morphed around us to help us in making these discoveries. One time I was walking through town with a participant who was from Hawaii. He was talking about how paths cross for a reason, and about how a pro surfer from his childhood in Hawaii was inspiring other people by getting into substance abuse treatment. Literally 30 seconds later, we rounded the corner and there was this very guy he was talking about, who was also from Hawaii, but happened to be in California that day, on the exact same street at the same time as my participant was talking about the intersection of paths. We joined him that night for a 12-step group on the beach. We're all craving a spiritual awakening, and the 12th step reminds us the power that these awakenings have to set us free from our chains. and how reality itself will bend to help us with this if we know how to look. When reality drops us little breadcrumbs of synchronicity, like that guy just happening to be there as we rounded the corner, it shows us that we're on the right path. And we eat those breadcrumbs up because they provide delicious nutrition and strength for the journey. And so let me move on to share the unfolding path that the peer movement in America is leading us down. The peer movement had already been rethinking madness for quite some time before I joined it. In the official training that we have to take to become a peer support specialist here in California, they had a section on intuition and the research done by the Heart Math Institute. It showed that the energy field of our heart extends beyond the body, and that the heart can predict things that are going to happen in the future. We were also taught in that training that we are the experts on ourselves. And while we can definitely learn from conventional psychiatry, we can also teach them. There is a lot that can be learned from a state of mind by reading about it in official mental health education. That can provide a helpful map of the mind. But no matter how detailed the map is, how much a person has read, there are things that only a local who has lived in the territory can know. Like, imagine a tour brochure of Sao Paulo. It can give a great overview of the city and the important things about it. It might even show locals aspects of their city that they haven't thought of before. But only if you've lived there can you know the smell of the ground as the sun is coming up. Only if you've lived there can you know the unique mixture of sounds as the sun sets over the city. There's a lot that books can teach us about what these states of consciousness called madness are. But to get a complete understanding of the layout of the land requires a local, someone who has spent a lot of time there. We need the perspective of us peers. And this is what mainstream mental health in America is realizing, and at a very fast pace. A bill called SB 803 was recently passed in California and has been passed in most American states that recognizes the value of peer support. This is going to give peers a louder voice and allow us to bill some of the largest medical insurance companies for our services. It's the rising of a new wave for peers in our world. And there at Rethinking Madness, you're positioned perfectly to surf this wave. You have a unique perspective you can offer the world. My work here in California with NAMI has been centered on creating a meaningful map of madness that we can use to surf this wave that is coming. I'm using our shared, lived experience to do that, and building on the great models that have come before us. I've secured the backing of NAMI and the University of California, San Diego in running a workshop program that explores the bright colors and opportunities of neurodiversity. I'm creating a map of our neurodiverse states of consciousness that include many of the other maps that are often forgotten about in the mainstream. Some of these are depth psychology and dreams, the shamanistic worldviews of South African Sangomas, which overlaps with traditional Brazilian worldviews too, the ancient Greek understanding of the potential gifts in madness, how the spiritual masters have navigated these realms of consciousness, and the modern research that's being done to explore them. The University of California, San Diego is analyzing the improvement in people's lives from this version of Rethinking Madness, and is working to get this workshop approved as a treatment modality. This is a fantastic time for you all to be engaged with the Rethinking Madness movement in Brazil. Because of COVID, the people of the world are rethinking everything. They're rethinking society. They're rethinking work. They're rethinking reality. And I believe the most important part of reality is consciousness. Us peers are at the forefront of consciousness exploration, and at a time of great opportunity for rethinking madness. Some of my good friends are Brazilian, and I sense such a powerful spirit in them. You have such a valuable perspective to add to the global conversation. And although I'm stuck in this screen for now, I feel like we're in this together through our hearts, which transcends our bodies. And I appreciate you and your hearts and minds there so much. North America and South America are united in this great adventure of our time. The wave that is coming is going to be thrilling to ride. It's going to transport us all as cultures to new places. And it's going to leave the sandbanks forever changed for coming generations. Thanks for surfing them with me, your South African American rethinker of madness.